Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is part 7 of What if Deku was adopted by Mirko? If you notice some errors or some missing parts in the video, please tell me in the comment down below. Hope you'll enjoy the video. Iida POV. For my work study, I had decided to do it with a local hero in Hosu City called Manuel. We had been patrolling the streets with little happening. From what I have gathered, hero patrols had gone up to decrease chances of crime happening. However, I came here with a goal in mind, and I am not going to let the hero killer walk away after what he did to Tensei. Sorry to ask this, but you're here to go after the hero killer, aren't you? I stopped for a moment with Manuel hitting the nail on the head as to why I had chosen his agency. It only makes sense. Look, I understand that you have your reasons to, but going after someone the way you're trying isn't a good option. Heroism isn't like when it first started. If you walk down the path of vigilantism, there will be repercussions. We have the privilege to use our quirks as heroes, but we aren't the law itself. We need to abide by it just as much as anyone else. I felt nothing but frustration knowing that the hero killer could do what he did, and I couldn't legally do a thing to stop him. Sorry. I didn't mean that in a bad way. It's just that you seem like a straight-laced person, and I'd hate to see you ruin your chances at being a hero for something like this. Yes, the hero killer isn't an exception, but we need to take care of him through legal means and not by our own measures. It's fine. I appreciate your concern. Manuel continued to walk away with the anger inside me not quelling at all. This is infuriating. I know I shouldn't, but after what he did to Tensei, I had clenched my fist in absolute anger. This isn't right. Few days later, Izuku POV. Get moving, Akamure. You won't be able to help anyone if you need it. Since the first day, Gang Orca had taken it upon himself to prepare me to head out to Hosu. He said the clearance to start the case would take at least 3 days before we could even think of leaving for the city, however, to give us that time to do nothing but prepare for whatever we'd encounter. I've got you now. I began to jump up to prepare an axe kick. When I was about to, Gang Orca glared at me with intent to shake me up a bit. He noticed this to grab my leg and throw me into a wall. The act made me react to harden my body with Kirishima's hardening to go right into a wall and get stuck. You okay? I tried to pull myself out to have no luck at all. Yeah, NGH. Just a little stuck. I kept pulling as much as I could before the pro came over to grab my shirt. In one go, he yanked me out of the wall to stand me up. Thanks. Why did you hesitate? I was going to say something, but couldn't find a good enough excuse. I just got spooked. In a real fight, you can't hesitate. You do, and you or someone else could pay the consequences. This is why every move you make, you must steel your nerves, or you will cause someone to get hurt or die. I held my head down, realizing that strength and quirk-wise I may be on the right track, but I still had a long way for skill and will. I came out of this, however, when I felt a pat on my head. Even though you've still got a long way, you're doing everything to limit that flaw you have. Confidence and steeled nerves don't come overnight, they're things that grow gradually. Just learn how to get stronger and you'll soon be free of that burden. Orca went to a bench to pass me a water bottle before pouring one on himself. To be honest though, kid, you remind me of your mother back when she started. She was a stubborn one that didn't take anything from anyone. She still kinda is. I could tell. We both shared a bit of a laugh about mom's stubbornness before Gang Orca started to walk towards the door. Get ready. We have permission today to start the stain case. We'll arrive at Hosu tonight around 8. Gather whatever you need for a fight and we'll head out in an hour. I drank from my water before walking to where I was sleeping to get some gear to help. Iida. Don't do something that'll hurt you. When I was ready, I walked near Gang Orca's office where he was filling out some final bits of paperwork. You ready? I took a deep breath before showing a determined face. Yeah. Let's go find the hero killer. 8 p.m. at Hosu. Gang Orca and I had arrived at Hosu City with it being dusk. Right off the bat, we began our search on the streets. You've done some intel on the hero killer, right, Akamure? Yes. He normally attacks near hero agencies and alleys that are normally used by heroes. This is to make sure, in my opinion, the ones he wants alive stay alive and the ones that die to be discovered to prove his point. Interesting. Let's start surveying the alleys near the agencies by the station, then work our way from there. We had gotten to an agency of one of the local pros to walk into some alleys. Once there, I activated earphone jack to listen through the walls. What are you doing? It's my friend's quirk. It can be used to listen to sound waves and such. Smart. Even if he's on a roof, we should be able to find him. We didn't have any luck in the alley for us to continue on for a couple more. Once we hit the 5th or 6th, we began to hear explosions and notice smoke. What is that? Don't know, but let's check it out. We both ran to the area to see the monsters that looked like that thing from the USJ. Wait, is that the thing they called Nomu? You know these things? I shook my head slightly. No. Not exactly. This thing that they called Nomu attacked us at the USJ. I thought it was taken in. Maybe they're relatives or something. The monsters started to beat around the heroes of the city for Gang Orca to run in to help. We can discuss this later. Akamir, find your friend now. But sir, how am I gonna if he's going after the hero killer? He'll think the same as you. Use your judgment right now. If things go bad, I trust you. I heard these final words before Gang Orca took a punch to the gut to send him into a building. Sir. Get moving. I glanced around to notice that I wasn't needed here before running into an alley. Those Nomu guys are here in Hosu, but they're with the League. Why are they here? I kept having thoughts run through my head as to why the creatures led by the League of Villains would be in Hosu where the hero killer should be. In that moment, I thought a horrid thought to forcibly run as fast as I could to find both Iida and Stain before it was too late. Third-person POV. In a dark alley, Iida was seen on the ground with the hero killer Stain above him and a pro by the name of Native beside them. You bastard. I'll take you down for what you've done to my brother. Stain seemed to be agitated with the young engine quirk user. You wish to take me down? If you even held a thread of what you should be as a hero, you would have saved the man who is hurt over there first. To attack someone out of blind rage is the most unheroic thing someone could do. You're nothing but a fake that the world will take great pride in knowing you will never exist after this. Stain pulled his blade out of Iida's arm to point towards his neck. Rest assured, boy, your death will show a bright future for this world. Shut up. Shut up. Shut up. Iida was blinded by his own anger for the villain, realizing that he was correct. As a hero and as Ingenium's brother, Iida felt he failed at what he should have done. As Stain came down with his blade, Izuku jumped to the rescue with a hardened kick to the villain's face. Luna turret. The hit forced a hero killer back as the young boy landed between him and Iida. Iida, you okay? The engine quirk user looked up to see his friend in front of him. You Sagayama, what are you doing here? I figured you'd try to do something like this, so I was able to get permission to come here and help you. Good thing I did when I did, or you could have seriously gotten hurt. Izuku grew his hands to about twice his body size with big fists to grab Native and Iida. He also created wings for himself thanks to Manifest to place the two injured on the roof. I won't let you go anywhere. Stain had begun jumping from wall to wall before nearing Izuku with his katana in hand. He slashed at Izuku's wing, hoping to hit him before the wing held an iron coating on it to echo the sound of metal hitting metal. Trying to avoid it, Stain jumped on the wing before getting a tongue to grab and send the villain back to the ground. You both should be safe here. Izuku placed the two down on the ground before turning to the alley where Stain was. He won't quit just from that. I'll need to stall him until help arrives. Izuku sent a message to the group chat asking anyone to send help to his location before noticing Stain coming back up again. I'll be back. The greenette jumped down before using explosion to force Stain back down to the ground. I don't need to defeat Stain, I only have to hold him off until help arrives. So long as he stays here, those two will be safe. Just stay focused and keep him here. Izuku raised his fists as Stain came charging at him. The young boy used Frog to jump off the ground to the wall before attacking Stain with a right fist covered in both his hardening quirks. Stain deflected this with his katana and narrowly hit Izuku in the jaw with his knee that had a metal spike brace where it would have impacted. The boy then thought of using a few pebbles that he had in his pocket as weapons to throw and increase their size. Stain jumped over these to not notice Izuku on the back of one to give him a blast from wave motion, which sent the hero killer to the wall. He recovered to come charging back at Izuku. He's not giving up. Izuku acted as fast as he could to create a form of defense with vines to slow down the hero killer. This didn't work for long as the was hacking the newly grown vines to bits. This did however give enough time for Izuku to create two speakers from his body with creation to plug an earphone jack. Packed move. Rocking creation. Izuku hit Stain with a blast of strong vibrations thanks to creating a speaker of similar magnitude to Jiru's on her hero costume. Now let's wrap this up. Izuku used Manifest to create tentacles from his fingers to incapacitate the hero killer. Unfortunately, the villain wasn't giving up just yet to slash the octopus appendages up. I won't fall that easily. Stain charged at Izuku for him to panic a bit. Everything I throw at him won't work. Not only that, but I'm starting to run on fumes. The attack would have landed if it wasn't for Izuku being protected by a giant glacier. Wait a second. You should really be more precise instead of just putting a random location on Usagayama. A second later, and I might have not been able to help. Thanks. I owe you. Don't worry about it. What's the situation? Iida and the pro hero native are up there. For now, we need to keep staying down here until more help from pro heroes arrive. I'll cover the top and you keep him down below. Izuku nodded before activating Ofa to increase his speed and reduce the amount of drawback on himself. Izuku then activated Rabbit to increase his jumping mobility. I will rid this world of false heroes. Now out of my way, boy, before I must kill you and your friend there. I won't. Izuku used Ofa in his foot to attack Stain, who blocked him with his blade. Unlike before, however, Izuku was able to turn his body to punch Stain in the face. This forced the villain back a bit before taking a small knife to stab Izuku's bicep. The sharp pain came though the young boy. Damn, I was careless. Izuku needed the hand with the blade to allow him to pull away from the hero killer. Todoroki, I need you to sear the opening shut. Won't that hurt? We need to keep him down here. Stain began going back up to the rooftop, cutting the ice Todoroki made with ease. Okay then. Todoroki put his left hand on the cut to see it shut and give Izuku an unbearable shot of pain inside him. He then used Rabbit and Ofa to jump up to Stain to tackle him back towards the ground. I'm not letting you hurt anyone else. Izuku was forcing himself to move on adrenaline. Both were falling with the hero killer trying to shove Izuku off. Get off me, kid. If you don't, we could both die. If I can save my friend and native, I'm content with that. Stain started kneeing Izuku in the stomach with his spikes to leave a few holes in the boy as they both neared the pavement faster. During the last minute, however, Todoroki was able to make a slide of ice to avoid both from hitting the pavement head-on. Izuku and Stain slid down and went right into some trash cans. You brat. Are you suicidal or something? Izuku slowly got up to prepare for another fight. No. I'm trying to help people who need it. Izuku started smiling to make Stain realize something. This kid is willing to risk everything just to stop me. If more people like him existed in this world, maybe things would be better. Stain prepared for another attack to charge at Izuku. The young boy was losing a large amount of blood and his consciousness to focus solely on the senses he had. I gotta focus. Holding his hand out, Izuku activated Explosion, half hot, half cold, and wave motion in his left hand. Packed move. Spiraling Cannon. The blast came at Stain to submerge him in a spiraling fire, with explosions coming from the center getting a straightaway to the hero killer. The impact sent him right into a wall to make an indent in it. Iida slowly regained his ability to move again to witness the final attack from above. With a shaking fist, Izuku raised his right arm up to signal he won. Immediately after, however, Izuku fell backwards, blacking out from the pain and injuries he had. Usagayama. Izuku turned his head to see Todoroki run towards him to smile. I stopped him. Iida and native are safe. Izuku POV. I started to wake up with bright lights shining on my face and the smell of disinfectant in my nose. 5 more minutes, mom. I grumbled this before turning to my side and feeling unbearable pain. Ow. I shot up to see Todoroki and Iida in the room alongside me. Iida was in a hospital bed while Todoroki was sitting in a chair beside him. Nice to see you're up, Usagayama. Yeah. I hurt like hell though. What happened? To make a long story short, Akamir, you defeated the hero killer and ended up in the hospital for a few days. Thanks to the help of some pros, we were able to avoid any significant casualties with you getting hurt the most in the battle with Stain. Gang Orca walked into the room explaining what happened around the time I blacked out. I looked down to see a bunch of gauze on my torso and remembered that the hero killer stabbed me. The doctors said you were lucky it wasn't closer to the left, or it could have caused damage bad enough where you'd be stuck in here for a few months if you're lucky. Gang Orca said this with some irritation for some reason, with my mind coming towards something I needed to find out. Did my mom find out about this? Well, it's kinda funny you'd ask that. The sound of someone running down the hall was heard before what sounded like someone shouting. You bastard. Mom came charging in to give me a running kick to the face. I fell to the ground before being wrapped in a chokehold. What have I told you about being careful? I get a call 3 nights ago that you're admitted to a hospital because you go against a hero killer as well as Kanoko and Yui freaking over a text message you sent them. Where the fuck was your brain during the time? I was starting to lose oxygen before mom let go. Sorry, kid. She already gave me my lumps when we met up at the hospital the first night. Gang Orca turned to reveal a swollen cheek and his one eye closed, probably due to the pain. Now as for you glasses boy. Mom walked over to Iida before giving him a solid kick to the head with her heel. He covered his head where she hit with Mom's glare not going away. That was for doing something fucking stupid. Do you know how worried my son was for your well-being? Iida winced in pain before looking up to her. I don't blame you for wanting to do right for what happened to your brother, but you went about it all wrong. Unlike you, Izuku asked for help knowing that the anger you have isn't going away anytime soon and was afraid you'd do something that could have ended with you being seriously hurt or killed. Mom patted Iida's head before smiling at him. From what Izuku said, you're a good kid. Though your brother's hero career might be over, his legacy won't die if you take what he wanted to do for people to heart. He smiled at this as I got off the floor to sit back on the bed. Seems motherhood made you a tad bit softer, Mirko. Mom's head whipped to Gang Orca before cracking her knuckles. Who's soft, Shamu? All the color in the pro went away at this, with Todoroki moving over to speak to me. Your mom is really scary when she wants to be. You should see her when she's really pissed off. I doubt even All Might could hold her back, she can be that scary. Both of us shivered at the thought that even the #1 pro hero couldn't handle Mom on her worst day. Well, either way, you did a good job all things considered. Mom came over to pat my head before smiling. Oh, and by the way, brace yourself. Brace myself for why you dumbus. I was cut short by Yui tackling me and strangling my neck with Kino biting my leg for some reason. Are you trying to give us a heart attack? Do you realize how worried we were about you? Apologize, Izuku. Normally Yui is rather calm even when things get serious. So when she shows any significant emotions or shown on her face, I know for a fact she's very heated by what it is. And right now she literally has a face that says she wants to kill me. When we saw you lying on the bed like that, we were so scared for you. I felt tears on my face and leg to see both of them crying. You're someone we care about, Izuku. Please don't do this to us. You have no idea how much it hurts us to see when you're so hurt like this, and we can't do a thing to help. Please take better care of yourself, if not for you, then for us at least. I hate seeing them cry. I got up before pulling both Kino and Yui into a hug. I'm sorry I did this. I didn't think with my head when I was fighting and got hurt because of it. I promise I'll try a lot harder next time and won't end up like this if I can avoid it. You better. If you don't, I'll bite you again, Shroom. And I deserve it at that point. Both girls laugh a bit and slowly stop crying. Whenever I see them sad, it makes me feel like garbage and want to try and cheer them up. Mom said it was just in my nature when someone's sad to want to make them happy. Before anyone could say anything, the sound of the door sliding open was heard with a man that had a face like a Doberman walking in. Hello. It's nice to see you're finally up and about, young man. Thanks Mr. Excuse my rudeness, my name is Kenji Tsurigam. The chief of police force. My apologies, sir. I bowed at the dog man before he continued. If it wouldn't be so much trouble, would those that weren't part of the Hosu incident please leave the room? Mom, Kino, and Yui got up to leave as to the chief's order. When they shut the door, he waited a few minutes before speaking. First and foremost, I'd like to congratulate you on defeating the hero killer. Thanks to you, Akamir, the threat he plagued upon our society is no longer an issue. However, doing so did break a law or two on your end. I went pale when he explained this. As I explained with your classmates prior to right now, what you did was technically illegal. Heroism without a proper license to do so is no different than a villain using their quirk on a civilian. Things weren't looking good for me as the chief was hitting the nail on the head. From what Mom told me, there isn't many tangents to the law as of yet, since quirk laws are still in all technicalities really new compared to other laws. This is where my job is difficult. As far as the law is concerned, you should be arrested as well as your two friends who were in a similar boat. That is, if we use the exact story. Wait, what? When you separated from Gang Orca, his words to you were use your judgment and that he trusted you if things went bad. Now this can be taken two ways due to the vagueness of what he could have meant. In one way, he could have meant use your best judgment to how the law handles you at this point in time. This meant you could be arrested right now. But the second way is that he could mean that if things go wrong, you'd use your judgment to use your quirk accordingly. This would mean you could be taken off the chopping block with these two still being on it. I was afraid for Todoroki and Iida as this was said to panic. Sir, please don't blame them. Iida was just trying to do right for his brother, and Todoroki backed me up because I asked him I already understand what exactly happened prior. You don't need to explain. No matter how we look at it though, we're in a rough spot. Did he just bark? Now here's what I suggest since we can maneuver this in a way because of so little people knowing this. The hero killer attacked native. In a form of defense, you and Iida tried to stop him with Iida being injured due to this. He didn't use his quirk due to not having the authorization. You on the other hand had it and took on the hero killer alone while backup was coming. This backup was Todoroki and Gang Orca along with a few pros. They showed up after the hero killer was defeated to assist you, Iida, and native to the hospital. We can argue that all the damage done was from you because of your quirk's unique trait. If we go with this, the secret of what really happened will stay between us in this room and the small handful of people that knew the actual thing from start to finish. It's either we hide the secret or you all go to jail. I understood this enough to see where I stand and where I could easily be sent to jail. Personally speaking, I'd rather not put any of you in jail. It would be a waste of heroes in training if this were to happen. He gave us a thumbs up before leaving. The records will say you did everything legally unless you say something. So try to keep it to yourselves so I don't have to discuss possibly arresting any of you. He walked out for me to turn towards Iida and Todoroki. He told us what was going to happen when he first met us. We got lucky. I agreed with Todoroki before laying back in my hospital bed exhausted from everything coming at me one after the other. You Sagayama. I'm sorry for putting you through everything. If I had been wiser, then maybe you would not have had to hurt yourself. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you for helping me. I held my hand up to give Iida a thumbs up. We're friends, so don't worry about it. I noticed him smile before letting out a sigh. So did anything else happen when I was out? Only your phone going off because of your message. I glanced at the stand beside me to see my phone to grab and look at the messages. I'm going to have a lot of explaining to do. Few hours later. After having all the explanations of what happened out of the way and practically being screamed at by almost every one of the girls, me, Todoroki, and Iida began to chat a bit before Todoroki had to leave, and Iida was able to leave the hospital with a final checkup. I unfortunately had to stay for a few more days with nobody to keep me company. I could have talked to Kachin or one of the girls, but I didn't know if they were busy and didn't want to bother them if they were. Well, might as well take a walk so I don't get lazy sitting around all day. I moved my legs to the side before hitting something beside the bed. What the? Looking down, I noticed it was my guitar case with a note attached to it. Made sure to bring this along since you'd probably be bored waiting around the hospital. Brighten someone's day up, would you? Mom. P.S. Next time you end up like this, you'll be put in a hospital because of me beating your ass. She really got pissed off because of that fight. I glanced at the guitar though and smiled knowing my mom at least cared about me enough to get mad at me for doing something stupid and was caring enough to give me something to do what I like to do best. Make people happy. Now where's the section with the kids? I'm sure they'd enjoy someone coming inside the room to play for them. Or maybe go to a spot where the elderly are since they normally would enjoy someone just to talk to. I walked down the hall a bit before I found the children's ward. I found a room with a bunch of kids inside to knock before opening. Hi. Everyone looked at me confused before I spoke again. I was kinda wondering if any of you would like to hear a song. I know that staying in a hospital isn't fun, but maybe I could help you make the most of it. The kids looked at me confused before smiling. Well, I'll take the smiles as an okay. I grabbed a seat to pull up before tuning my guitar. This one is gonna start out a little weird. But please bear with it. The kids looked at me a bit strangely before I started to strum. When I got past the strange half, they began to smile hearing me rap rather fast. Some that weren't paying attention much looked over to watch my mouth go and be really impressed. When the second verse came, the ones that were really paying attention listened closely to feel some form of empathy for me because of how the song went. I just simply kept playing before spitting out a few more rhymes to make them extremely impressed and start smiling from ear to ear. Eventually the song came to its end with me laughing a bit as if I was arrogant to embody the image of Eskener. When I finished, the kids smiled and clapped wanting me to play a little more. Okay, let's see. What else can I do? I looked over to the side to see a small keyboard. Can I use that if it's somebody's here? The kids nodded fast for me to set the keyboard up in front of me. Okay. I think you'd all enjoy this one. When I started playing, those who knew the song began to shout for joy. Once it got to the end of the first half, everyone began dancing around. I didn't know offhand, but some of the nurses were watching and videotaping me playing for the kids. I didn't pay much attention to this since I was focused on making the kids happy. As I entered the final verse, everyone looked at me to see my head holding down, prepared for the intense uplift of the song. In the final parts of the chorus, the kids started shouting natural to sing along. At the end, I had the claps of the kids and the nurses before thinking of one final song to play. Okay, I think it's only fair I do one more before calling it a night so the nurses don't have any trouble. I pulled my guitar out to start strumming. The kids and the nurses started to clap along for everyone to smile. As I played the first verse, everyone was beginning to sing the chorus to increase the feel for everyone. When the second verse came, the kids started to circle around me and clapped along. Eventually, the song ended with me standing up to bow at everyone. They clapped as I started putting everything back where I found it. Please don't go, mister. One more song. A small girl with purple hair tried to plead one last song out before I patted her head. Sorry, sweetie, but I think I should end it there so the nurses don't have any trouble with me being out of my room after when I should be inside. But I'll be back again tomorrow if you all want. The kids cheered as I began to leave for my room. This was nice. Itsuka POV. After Izuku accepted us to help him, he decided to head towards his room to work on some ideas he had for possible combinations. Me and Pony walked over to watch him in his room while the others managed lunch. When we opened the room, it looked like a hero otaku's paradise. Geez, there's a lot of heroes in here. Wall to wall, there was some kind of hero merch of almost every hero. Is that the limited edition Hawks figurine? Pony walked over toward his dresser where there were like 30 different figures. Yeah. Hawks gave that to me after my mom kicked the crap out of him for asking me about what type of underwear my mom wears. Damn pervert. I wanted to say something but chose not to, considering the mental image of Hawks asking this and Mirko maybe kicking him hard enough for a tooth to fly out being kinda realistic in my head. I was 8 at the time to not fully understand why if that also helps. Not in the slightest. I sat down on Izuku's bed while Pony kept marveling at his hero collection. As I sat, I looked towards his desk to see a few notebooks on it. I grabbed one to see what it was about. Hero Analysis. Vol 5. Wonder what's in here? I started flipping through the book to see it was a bunch of pro heroes and their quirks. Whoa, these are pretty spot on. I kept flipping before I got to the last page that said Izuku's name and a costume idea on it. The costume looked practically just like Mirko's, except with the base being green and the side colors being red like Ryukyu's costume. So this was an idea for his costume? Now even more curious, I grabbed another notebook to see it was a 6th volume to go through and find more heroes that weren't in the first, as well as a more revamped costume idea at the end. This time, it had gauntlets on the wrists for some reason. I kept this cycle up each time seeing the change of the costume or the support gear. Though they kept changing, the baseline of it being like Mirko's never changed. The last volume held a costume idea that was the one Izuku uses today. I glanced up to see Izuku panicking to grab the notebooks. Give those back. Easy. I was only looking. Please just give them back. They're not supposed to be looked at by other people. He reaches for the one in my arms for me to panic a bit as he started reaching out for it. On instinct, I jumped back to have Izuku fall on top of me with his face directly in front of mine. Ow. Sorry about that. Izuku stopped when he saw where he was to go, completely red. In that moment, I noticed his scar to find it gave kind of a cute look to his puppy dog image before he jumped right off. I'm so sorry. It's not your fault. I kinda went into something I shouldn't have. I felt my face get a little red knowing Izuku was literally on top of I'm not a pervert. I hid my face while Pony watched the whole thing go down with a blank stare. So do you like Izuku? She blurts this out for both me and Izuku to go entirely red. I smack my head on his pillow as Izuku walks down to the kitchen. Great. Now he thinks I'm some kind of weirdo. If you want to confess to him, I'm willing to join you. Why are Americans so calm with this Kyoka POV? While Izuku went upstairs to handle whatever he was with Kendo and Tsunatori watching him, me, Tsu, Yui, Nejire, and Achako handled making lunch for everyone. Dang. Can they have any more carrots? I asked this while opening a cupboard with literally a dozen bunches of them inside. Well, we are talking about the rabbit hero here. Achako pointed this out while she began cutting some potatoes for curry. Mirko eats a lot of carrots. She also has Izuku in fear his eye may cause him problems in the future. He always had a couple to munch on when we'd be in school together. Shroom. Kanoko and Yui clarifies for us a bit for the thought of having them as a snack kinda disgusting me. Not a fan of carrots, ribbit? Hate 'em. My mom and dad tried to get me to eat them growing up, and they just tasted like dirt to me. I get you. Lettuce isn't something I'm into personally. Just tastes like I'm eating a leaf. I at least had some comfort knowing Nejire understood where I was coming from. She eventually finished cutting the meat to pre-cook it before dropping it in the pan with the other vegetables. As this went on, Yao Momo decided to make tea for everyone with the only tea in the house being green. None of us had a problem with it, so we just simply went with it. So why did you come over, Kyoka? Mina asked for me to go kinda red. The fact Izuku could go from confident to meek like night and day kinda made him a little cute to me, but I'd never say that to everyone. I think someone likes Mr. Cottontail. I do not. I just was scared for Izuku after what he did is all. Then why are you calling him by his first name? Kanoko smirked at me while I tried to think of a reason. Well, I mean, we're friends, so. Alright, fine, maybe I do like Izuku. Everyone laughed at me while I grabbed some instant stock and cream from the fridge to start the base. You don't have to hide it from us, we're all in the same boat. Most of us are already kinda dating him in this room, or at least went on a date or two. Achako said this for my head to go a mile a minute. At least Izuku isn't here. I turn around to see the one person I'd rather not be right behind us. How long were you there? Long enough. I smack my face realizing I may have just admitted to liking Izuku with him hearing me. Goddamn my life. Few hours later, Izuku POV. As we all sat in the living room, the thought of what Jiro said came to my mind. I looked over the room with Mina being the first to speak up. Alright. I'm clearing the air. Everyone here has the hots for Izuku. Now what do we do about it? Thank you for addressing the elephant in the room, Mina. So, what do you all want to do? I tried asking for everyone to think. I guess we can do what we've been doing, except with more people, shroom. I feel a little annoyed that we have to share, but there's honestly no other choice, is there? Achako pointed this out for me to let out a sigh. So how would this work per se? There's 11 of us, so doing it one person gets a day of the week won't work exactly. Perhaps a day with 2 a day would work with the person that has a day alone alternating to make it fair. That could work, Shiozaki. Nejire says this with everyone nodding in agreement. Wait. So we all are okay with this relationship? Everyone nodded before Yui speaks up. So it's settled. We all will have a polygamy relationship. Let's call US Izuku's pact. Can we make it seem like something that doesn't make us sound like we're a bunch of animals? Okay then, we're all in agreement. As of right now, we're all going to start dating Izuku. Everyone nodded at Momo as she started to pull out some popsicle sticks that she made with her quirk. She then put numbers on them to give to me. Alright. This is how we'll begin. The numbers on the sticks will start where we are right now. If you have the number 1, you will be paired with the number 2. If you have a number 3, you're paired with number 4 and so on. If you have the number 11, then you'll have the first day alone with Izuku. Everything is fair and impartial, with the chances of someone getting the number you want is just as fair as everyone else. Nobody argued for everyone to start pulling the numbered sticks. The numbers were as followed. 1. Tsu, 2. Kanoko, 3. Itsuka, 4. Mina, 5. Kyoka, 6. Achako, 7. Yui, 8. Ibara, 9. Nejire, 10. Momo, 11. Pony. Yay. I get the first solo date. Again, I can't fully understand her. I really need to learn English when I get the chance. I sighed to myself before we went over the basics. So 1 and 2 will have Monday. 3 and 4 Tuesday, 5 and 6 Wednesday, 7 and 8 Thursday, 9 and 10 Friday, and 11 for Saturday. On Sunday, we'll let Izuku have the day to himself since he at least deserves that. Kendo pointed this out for us to acknowledge how this was going to happen. So you've got a nice-sized harem, huh? We look over to see Mom hanging out by the door with Antryu next to her. Nicely done, Izuku. It appears you have quite the batch of women beside you that adores you. I go red at this before Mom starts to laugh. Alright ladies. I'm gonna need you all to head home before it gets too dark. I'll lead you all home. Antryu said this for every girl to give me a kiss on the cheek or on the lips, depending on who it was. I smiled at this before getting my hair ruffled. Alright Mr. Playboy, I got delivery coming. So why don't we sit down and you can tell me everything about your little harem now? Can we not? I don't like talking about this stuff to you. Hey. Don't give me lip, or I'll remind you what you kiss when you do. I cover my mouth remembering that Mom kicks me when I complain to the point she says I kiss her foot. Can someone tell me why I have to talk to my mom about my relationships? Izuku POV. The next day of class finally came with everyone kinda happy to get back into the school. Personally, I was at least happy avoiding Mom's constant arguing that I need to take it slow. The only thing I could think was that this was coming from the woman that literally lives every day like it was her last. As I walked into the classroom, I noticed Achako start making some kind of strange fighting stance with a killer aura around her normally bubbly attitude. Is Achako okay? I walked up to Tsu as she was piecing together what she knew. Apparently her work study opened martial arts to her, and she's become a very skilled wielder of gunhead martial arts ribbit. Ah. That makes sense. Everyone around looked at me confused. Martial arts can go to some people and change their demeanor if given the chance. I kept watching her pose before sighing to come up and hug her. Almost instantaneously, the aura around her vanished and she became red as a tomato. Izuku. You're scaring everyone. Not that I blame you for wanting to show your excitement, but maybe taking it into moderation would be better. Oh okay. Everyone started to stare for me to let go and sit in my seat with my face completely red. A few minutes passed with Mr. Izawa walking inside. Good morning class. Good morning Mr. Izawa. Our teacher got to the podium where he began to speak. Starting next week, all hero classes will be cut in half for end of term finals. If you've been paying attention to the course up till now and took decent notes, you should be fine. His comment was rather blunt with Kaminari and Mina wincing. Granted, I don't blame them for being at the bottom of the class for grades. Maybe I can ask Momo about making a study session. Since we began officially dating, I asked the girls if they'd rather me use their first names, with none of them having anything against it. It's a little difficult for some, but it's definitely harder because I'm used to using their last names. Classes continued after Mr. Izawa's announcement like normal, with the classes being mainly reviewing classes and self-study. When I had the chance, I talked to Momo about maybe doing a group study session. When given the offer, she couldn't say yes fast enough for some difficulty for our friends being almost gone completely. During lunch. Aw man. I can't even fill in the answers in a normal test. I'm so screwed for the end of term final. Mina held her head down in frustration for me and Momo to speak up. You know, we could do a group study session. Me and Momo were talking about it during the break today to think maybe it's a good idea. Agreed. It will also give us time together since we most likely will not have that privilege when we begin studying for the finals. Mina jumped up to hold both our hands with stars in her eyes. You really mean it, you're both the best. She kept a smile from ear to ear before giving me a kiss on the lips to make me go red. Well, it's only fair. I mean we're all in this together. And we can make it a big study session with the girls from class B. I was trying to finish my sentence when something hit the back of my head. Ow. That hurt. I looked back to see none other than Monoma with his regular laughing face that, to be honest, was starting to get on my nerves. Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to bump into your arrogant head. It seems that your ego was just so big that I couldn't avoid it. I let a sigh out before turning to finish eating. Just don't say anything, Izuku. He's only mean if you acknowledge him. I tried to remember Andrew's saying of not saying anything to a person if you don't have anything nice to say. Unfortunately, he didn't get the memo and kept bothering me. With people like you always around, no wonder you rely on my class for everything. I mean you wouldn't be able to do anything if you didn't have any of your class A scum friends or my class's quirks to help you. Face it, you're just some weakling that has to rely on other people's power. He was cut off by a karate chop to the back of the neck. Courtesy of Itsuka. How many times do I have to teach you this lesson, Monoma? Leave Izuku out of your rants. She seemed more angry than normal to toss Monoma to one of her male classmates and sit on the other side of me. I'm so sorry for him. If he did anything to hurt you, it's fine. Andrew, you always told me that if you don't have anything nice to say to someone, don't say anything at all. Words of wisdom. We continued eating with Pony, Kino, Yui, and Abara joining our table. So does anyone know what the final exams will be for the physical part? Sue asked for Itsuka to give us some relief. I talked to an upperclassman before, he said it was robots. Why didn't I think to ask Nejire or Tamaki? You seriously had that slip your mind? Everyone looked at me amazed for me to sigh. Granted, he must have quite a bit on his plate for something like this to slip his mind. At least Abara is avoiding the fact I was kinda dumb during this. I kept thinking of the robot part to kinda fall into the retrospect that it would be too easy for some of us since the fear they give would be worn off. I'll see everyone in class. If you girls in class B wanna join, we're going to do a group study session for finals if you wanna join. That sounds awesome. Sweet. Yeah. No worries for finals. I wonder if someone in the school has a mind-reading quirk that would make when she does this easier? I take my leave so I can head towards Recovery Girl's office to finally get the stitches out. As I sat in the office, she used a pair of tweezers to pull them out one at a time. The feeling of them leaving my body literally felt awkward as anything before she finished and placed a gauze on my stomach. Let that be a lesson to you and don't do something so reckless again. Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry. I held my head down for her to sigh. I did hear that you helped a pro hero at the time, as well as protect one of your own classmates. Though your heart was in the right place, young man. That doesn't mean you did the smartest thing you could do. Then again, your mother is always the type to jump head first and ask questions later, so I shouldn't be surprised. I start putting my uniform's top half back on before Recovery Girl stopped me. One last thing. All Might is looking for you. He's in the faculty lounge. Thank you, ma'am. I bowed before heading out and towards the faculty lounge to talk with one of my idol's teachers. All Might, sir, I heard you were looking for Mom? I stopped my sentence when I noticed Mom in the faculty lounge eating a carrot while talking to All Might. Sup, Izuku? Why are you here? Want to make sure you didn't neglect going to Recovery Girl's office to take those stitches out. So did you? Yes. I actually just came from there. Good. Now the second is to be around this idiot when he tells you what he should have off the bat. Mom points at All Might for him to sigh. The room is clear from onlookers over there. Let's use that to explain. We moved to the inside of the vacant room where I sat on a chair across from my mom and teacher who were sitting on a sofa. So are you gonna tell him what you neglected or should I? Mom stated this with a little aggravation for All Might to stiffen. What is she talking about, All Might? I wasn't telling you the entire truth when I talked about Ofa. Before going into detail, do you remember what I told you when you first inherited the quirk? I thought back to do my All Might impersonation to add to the emphasis. Now, eat this. Mom began laughing uncontrollably while holding her ribs at my act. Not exactly what I was meaning. I was referring to the part about acquiring my DNA to transfer the quirk. I remembered this before going completely pale. Wait, so was I unintentionally giving Ofa to the girls I'm dating and them giving it back to me? Wait, but to do that your tongue or theirs would have to. Mom smirked before commenting. You cheeky devil. I guess those condoms I gave you were coming in hand. It's not like that. I panicked a bit before trying to explain. I mean some of the girls slipped their tongues in my mouth. Sure, it's just them. She kept snickering at me before All Might clarified for me. I could honestly question you farther about your relationship situation in regardless to a teacher, but that's not the issue here. Let me just clarify that Ofa has to be willingly passed on to someone with the holder accepting the power transfer. It can't be taken away. But it can be forced upon. This comment piqued my interest for All Might to continue. You see, this all started around the start of the quirk era. There was a man whose name was lost to time. However, his quirk was known and has gone by the name for up to today. All for one. A quirk that can steal quirks from people and place them in a vegetative state after as well as use or give them to other people. This, however, could cause the people who obtained the quirks to become brain dead. My blood went cold when I heard what the side effects of the quirk is. You won't hear this in history books, but this man had nearly taken control of all of Japan at one point in the past. But he's gone, right? All Might went silent with no form of relief in my question. What happened to him then? Also, what does this have to do with Ofa? The man had a younger brother. He believed he was quirkless. Whether it was out of pity or out of spite is unknown, but the older brother had given his younger brother a stockpiling quirk. But unknown to both, the younger brother had a quirk to pass down quirks. These two combined in order to become one for all. I looked down at my hand to realize just what this was about. So the quirk I have from you is the younger brother's? Yes? Though the younger brother couldn't beat his brother in person, he gave his quirk to the next generation to hopefully defeat his brother. Unfortunately, none have been able to do this until myself. My mind went back to his injury to realize what it was from. You fought him. The older brother, didn't you? I did. A few years back. But I believed he was gone due to the fact he didn't show any form of activity for up to 5 years. Though the Nomu or whatever that was at the USJ is proof enough, as well as the beings similar to the one from before are more than enough to say he isn't gone. This means one day you might have to face a foe. I understood to clench my fist in determination. I'll face him when the time comes. And we'll do that together. This seemed to worry both Mom and All Might for a moment before I glanced at the clock. I'm sorry, sir, but I need to go to class. No worries. I'm here to help if you need it. I left the room to run towards my class. AFO. Whoever he is, he's gotta be tough to beat. All Might. Mirko POV. I waited a few minutes to make sure Izuku was long gone before I spoke up. So you didn't tell him the entire truth? Why? It's not worth not telling him the unnecessary parts right now. What part of Izuku now knowing you might die in the year is unnecessary? The boy idolizes you. He sighed before answering. It's not in his best interest to find this out. The less he knows about that, the less he'll worry about me. And what do you think he'll say when he finds out you kept this from him? He looks at you like an icon for what he wants to be. A man that everyone loves and respects. That's exactly why I don't want to tell him. If I were to, then that would make every little fight I get into until the actual one force him to fear I die. I held my tongue for the time as he explained the best he could. Young Yu Sagayama has already learned of the man he may have to face one day. Now, unlike me, you know everything about the past users and myself from start to finish and are most likely able to fill in the gaps if I may no longer be around to do so. Counting you, there are only 5 others who know of the truth behind the secrets of OFA and my life expectancy. 2 being in this school, 1 being an old friend, another being an old mentor, and the last being Night Eye. If the unimaginable were without a doubt to happen, then that would mean he would have to be guided by someone in order to properly become what I failed to be. Unfortunately, you are the only one close enough among all 6 that can help. I know you hate keeping secrets like these that you deem your son needs to learn important, but understand that I need him to learn these things within time, with now not being the right. I mulled it over in my head before answering. Fine. But if this AFO asshole or you bite the dust, I'm not going to keep this from Izuku. As your successor and as someone that wants to try and fit your shoes to most likely do so, he deserves to learn of this whether from you or from me. I walked out of the faculty lounge to start walking away. As I did, I went over everything All Might said about his quirk and what Izuku may face. A man who's lived over 100 years. Monsters that can hold more than one quirk and be mindless killing machines. A power that even to this day is unpredictable to even the 8th user's knowledge. All Might's unspeakable death this year or the next. If I would have known this was the issue that Izuku would face with this quirk from the beginning, I'd tell the idiot blonde to take Night Eye's suggestion instead to avoid any problems for Izuku. My phone started vibrating to see the name being the fucking flying chicken. Jackass. Yo Mirko. Wanna hang out tonight? I got an awesome reservation to that downtown restaurant that opened up lately, oh for the love of fucking God. Does he never take a hint? I was about to answer no, but the fact my time at UA has been down the crapper somewhat made me know I need some time to myself. Me. You know what, fine. But you're the one picking up the bill, got it? He answered back, agreeing for a sight to come out of me. He better not be doing something stupid in order to get me in the same bed. That is all for today's video. Thank you for watching. And please comment down below what you guys want to see next. I'll see you in the next video.